Welcome back to Satisfactory Update 6. My name is Nilaus, and sometimes you just need to build big. And that's what we're going to do today. We are going to build a massive factory, and I just wanted to show it off to you in the beginning so you can see how big and awesome it is, and I'll be showing you how to build this. So what is this? This is a massive plastic and rubber plant. It is making 1800 plastic and 1800 rubber. We're going to be focusing on the plastic build today, because that's already too much to cover if we want to cover more than that. So if I just jump out of this and take a look at what we are seeing here. So here we have all the lines coming in, feeding this train at 1800 per minute. So that's actually, in factorial terms, it's a red belt of plastic. How about that? It's actually a red belt of plastic we're making. This giant build is as you may have, if you follow the other videos in this series, you will know that I like building modular, and that's also what I've done here, even though, as you can see, the modules are somewhat bigger in this case. Each of those modules is taking 150 crude oil in and 500 water, and as the output we get 450 plastic from each of these. There, and over here we have for the equivalent for rubber as well. But we're going to focus on the plastic part. I'll be showing you the build process because it is the most complicated build you can build in this game by far, and because it uses a lot of alternate recipes, and it gets the absolute maximum yield for plastic. So basically what I do is for each 1 crude oil I can get 3 plastic out of this. And if we look into these hangars, you can see here that the space I am allocating is, the actual build is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide. That's all there is, and then it's 45 tiles deep. So if you want to build a module that takes 150 crude oil and some water, 500 water, and then get out of that 450 plastic or 450 rubber, then all you need is 5 by 45, and then whatever you want to make it aesthetic and pleasing as well. So let's take a look at how we build this, and I'm going to build one of these hangars from scratch in sort of steps and explain how it works. And if you're wondering where we are on the world map, here it is over by the oil coast, and our base factory is over here. I did this because I have plenty of oil around here, and that just means like it's a good location and also plenty of space. So we are just coming over here to our location, and we'll be zooming down into the map over here into the build, and we're going to be taking a look at, first and foremost, we are going to take a look at ratios. Yay! Ratios, math, this is what we need to deal with. So before we dive into this, let me just say that this is all something that was built on my Twitch stream. I'm live streaming this Tuesday, Thursdays and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European time, so come on over to twitch.tv/Nilaus and join in the fun and design and all that stuff. Also, if you want to support the channel, and then hit the like button, subscribe, you know the drill. And if you want to do a bit more, then there is a Patreon as well. That is how I try to keep this channel afloat. Right, so with that out of the way, then let's get into the business. And the business, of course, is math, because we can't build any of this without sort of having some details. I would recommend that you take a screenshot of this, and this is what we're going to build. And I will explain it to you as I have set up only the builds for here, only the buildings, and then I'll explain what it is we are going to do. We have down there we have some oil coming in. We have 2 oil reservoirs. If we look at the map again, we have over here, we have 1 that is pure, and we have 2 here that are normal. These 2 can be combined into 600. This one is 600 by itself, so I have 2 lines of 600 in. Basically all my builds will be focused around sort of, if it's a liquid build, then focus on a full pipe of 600 inbound. That's what we're doing here. So we'll be getting that inbound, and the first thing we want to do is we want to take the crude oil and turn it into heavy oil residue. We take each of these buildings, as you can see here. We'll be taking 150 crude oil inbound. That will give us 200 heavy oil residue and 200 polymer resin. No, 100 polymer resin. Now we'll get that out on this lane. We'll be forgetting about the polymer resin just for a bit. Then we'll be taking the heavy oil residue in here into 4 of these, each consuming 500 each. We'll throw in a lot of water and get some diluted fuel. The diluted fuel is amazing recipe. This is what we used for our giant diluted fuel power plant that we built not too long ago that you can also check out if you haven't seen that already. It's a pretty massive and impressive build in my own opinion. Now the next thing here is this will give us fuel outbound. So we'll have this outbound on this side, we'll get the fuel. And now comes the difficult part, because now we start remembering again the resin. The whole, let's forget the resin again. See, I remembered and then I forgot it again, because the difficulty in this is that what we basically want to do is we want to take some plastic and add some fuel and make it into rubber. Then we want to take some rubber, add some fuel and make it back into plastic. And that plastic we need here goes back into the rubber to make more rubber that then goes out and makes more plastic. And we continue that loop until we've consumed all the fuel we have available. But the thing is, we must have something that can start itself up and maintain itself. So that means we have to have some kind of seed, and I don't want to start seeding it by doing this. That is a bad idea because, well, it has to be self-seeding. I think that's and it also, if it runs dry, for whatever reason, oil stops working, then it runs dry, and then it needs to be kickstarting itself as it gets new crude oil current. So that's the most important thing, is how do we get it to self-start and that cycle. And the way we do that is actually, now we have to remember the polymer resin again. So I could build 2.5 of these, or I could build one at 250 speed. This will consume 100 polymer resin, which is exactly what we're producing, and consume 100 water. So that means we have water, it's 100, 100, 100, 100, and another 100. So it's exactly 500 water we need, and for this whole build. And then we'll be consuming all the polymer resin. That gives us some rubber. This rubber has to be combined with all the other rubber. We'll keep the rubber on this side, and that will flow away from our destination. So it'll flow out here. It'll be combined with the plastic that's being converted into rubber, but these won't run immediately. And then it'll flow into all of these locations that will then consume the rubber we're building. In the beginning, it'll only consume the start we have here, the start we have to from the resin, and go in here and then make the plastic. Now what we want to do, make sure, is that the plastic is going out this way, but I need to make sure that it goes in here and gets priorities to produce more rubber, so it makes more plastic, so it makes more rubber, and so on and so forth. You can see these recipes here have very, very specific quantities, and that is because it is, well, it's exactly what is needed. If we just jump on back, the ratios here, or the number of buildings, is 5 refineries for our process from crude oil, processing crude oil, 4 blenders, 1 overclock to 250 for residual, for resin into rubber, then 4 of those from plastic to rubber, and then those 5 combined will be enough to keep 10 of the rubber to plastic, recycled plastic. Get those going. Let's run on back and see what the actual quantities are, because that is basically the essence of this, and you will see that it all balances out as we get up here. Please don't jump into this. Okay, let me land here. There we go. And we'll even do this part. All right, so we start from the bottom. This is the 250 oil into 20 heavy oil residue, and we get the 100 resin. Then the second step from the bottom is 200 heavy oil residue plus water. That's the part, and then we get the resin part. 100 resin becomes 50 rubber. Then what we need to make sure of is that we need to have the 2 top ones. This is the difficult part. These 2 must balance out so that the total fuel is equal to 400, because that's the 400 fuel we have. So that's our constraint. And then the balance has to be such that the plastic produced plus the rubber, the rubber produced from the recycled plastic, and then plus this part has to be equal to the amount here goes out. And then if you see here, it comes up to 566.7, and I'm using the 116.7 of the plastic in plus this equivalent amount of fuel, get 233.3 rubber. And then you can see if we take the 233 plus 50, that's 283 goes to rubber, plus the equivalent fuel. The fuel adds up to 400. The rubber adds up to 566.7 minus the 116.7. That gives us a total of 450 plastic. It is absolutely amazing. I think this took quite a while to do, and then as we progress over here, we also want to make sure that we have some ratios that is using at a high percentage utilization of these. I don't want to have anything that's running like at 24% or something like that, obviously not, but we have like 94%, 97%, 250, 100, very close to perfect ratios. You can probably leave these as 100% if you like. I don't know what happens, but hey, these are the right numbers, so let's get those done. Also, in case you are wondering, I really like this structure. This is the rubber station, and this up here is the plastic station. So we try to do a bit more in terms of just making some pillars to have them stand on. Right, the next part is taking a look at the pipes, how we're going to be matching the pipes in here to get all of the resources in and out. An important note about the buildings before we dive into the construction and location of the pipes is the way I place this. So I'm always, and this is super important, this alignment splitter has to be in the middle. If you're placing this exactly in the middle, then that is the line, and please double check it. I had to redo the entire thing because I made it with the first one off, and then the rest of them became one off because I just aligned it. So don't do that. Check it and double check it before going in. The other thing is, in terms of I really like to build using the hover pack. And therefore I built power lines over here on the side that merges in. I built power lines on both sides so that everywhere inside and on top I can actually float, and that just makes building it so much easier. So I built this immediate as I built the building, so we can float back and forth. Here we have the fuel line coming in, the crude oil line, and when we hook it up it starts going, but we're not going to do that until the very end. Basically very simple, crude oil coming in. Then at level 1 here we get the outbound. You can also see the pipes are making it super clear what is in this. This is the heavy oil residue going in. Then I have the water coming in at level, this is level 1, this is level 0, this is level 1. I think that's best to say it. So it's the lowest level we can, and it goes in here. It has to be a Mark II pipe. This one also Mark II pipe because it transports 400. This water here is coming in as a also because it has to be containing 500, and then we can go down here and take a look at how I build it. Down here I have 3 of these. I really don't like building them, so I could have 4, but I would still need, so I need to have 5 if I want 500 without overclocking. So I just decided to just go with 3 and overclocking them by 170 each. That gives us 510, so there's a little buffer. They come in here. In terms of placing these, I have placed them identical for all of them. There is a really clean way of making these aligned. I will just show you. So if I do here, and then I put it at this location, then as I take here and then I hold control and find the snap point, then it will snap. This part is now one block away. Oops, I misplaced that one. Right, I don't know where that went. That went downstairs somewhere. So it goes from this location where I'm hooking it up. It's basically 1.5 tiles and in a diagonal, and then it will be at a really nice distance so that the pipe inbound here is crisp. And I got it in the wrong color. Let me also just show you how I do this. If I go in here, and you can right click and select pipes. Someone pointed that out in one of my recent videos, something I've never done. I've always just built them and then painted them afterwards. But if you just build all the water pipes at once, then it's actually advantageous. And then you can go and press X, and then, for example, build this part, and then build all of your heavy oil residue pipes at once, and then switch back to something else when you're done with that. Pretty convenient. It gets us, remember the pump down here, have to be Mark II pumps to pump it up. And we get our water in, so water is already saturated. When it comes to the fuel coming out here, we are now producing 400 fuel, so again, it has to be a Mark II pipe. Then it splits at this location, and I'm deliberately making Mark I pipes because I don't need more than 300 on either direction, and therefore I don't want to have it flow faster than that, so we want to constrain it here. That just goes in, and this is also again at the ground level, coming in and feeding the 4 plastic ones, the four plastic to rubber builds, as well as not the first one. So I split it through here. What you can also see in terms of distances, whenever I change the type of recipe, I leave a full block of space, while in here I leave half a block of space. So as long as they're the same, they're half a block of space. And then when it comes to a new recipe, this is when it changes from plastic to rubber to plastic, then I leave a full space. So there's just a little bit of separation here. It's particularly important when they are facing the same way, like this, and also it gives more room to get the fuel in through here. We're gonna go down here, and if we look at how much it's actually getting in, then I said that there's no more than 300, and that's correct because it takes fuel. It takes 30 times 10 of those builds, that's 300, and then it's slightly scaled down, so it's only 566.7. Shoot, it's half of that, 283, I guess that's what it is. And so it's not 300 and this pipe, and it's not 300 on this pipe. So if I push the 400 in, it's actually really nice that I can separate it like this. So that is all of the pipes. It should be pretty neat. I also have this little walkway that will never ever be used, but I think it makes sense. So we can walk here, we can supervise what's going on in the actual factory without sort of getting our feet wet from oil spills or the like. Next up is going to be the belts, and those can be added on top. So we'll just try to set those up. And starting back here, we can see that there are 3 materials we need to manage in terms of belts, and that is the resin, the rubber, and the plastic. So let's head on back to our location and set up how that is going to, or show how that's going to be set up. First of all, we are not getting anything inbound here. The only thing we need outbound is from here, and polymer resin. This is now a Mark 1 conveyor. No need to have it fast on this. I do the fast conveyor here because I need to transport 100. This goes up in level. If we say this is level 0, 1, and 2, then that goes on level 2. So it goes nicely above everything else. It just goes over and merges in to the polymer resin build to rubber. Then we're going to follow that belt, and it comes out the rubber here, and this is coming out at 50. So again, we don't need any faster, but we can do that if we really want to. This comes out, and this belt has to be fast. Then we're getting all of these built out here. They will also be merging up to this one, whether you use Mark 5s or Mark 1s. I am actually, even though this is below the capacity of a level 1 belt, then I'm actually preferring to do this, because if for whatever reason it gets stuck, then it's gonna take a lot longer for it to process the 200 that are stored here and get those out while it's producing the next, because over 1 minute it only actually decreases the internal stockpile by 1 and 2/3, and I'd really like it to just get it out here, get it pushed further down the belt. So even though it is not technically necessary, I use faster belts here to push it out to the central line so it can go down the manifold as far as possible. And of course these are mergers here because we are merging onto the belt up to this location. At this location we have now merged onto this belt a 283.3 rubber per minute, so not at all anywhere near the capacity. Then we go in and start splitting. We split it off here. So the thing is, it comes in here, it's going to be split 50-50, and I'd use Mark 1 here because I only need 30 inbound. So that means basically when we get the 283 coming in, then 60 will go that way, and 222 will go, 223 will go onwards, 60 will go in, whatever will continue, and so on and so forth. So because I have slow off branches, they are still fast enough to feed, but since I have slow, then more of the resources will stay on the belt and therefore push further down the manifold faster, because getting to the last one is going to be a bit of a difficult issue. Then we repeat the same thing on the other side. Now in this case we merge it back in, and I would also say make a Mark 5 here so that they can actually get rid of it as fast as possible. We're up here at 56.67, so we want to get those out on the main belt as fast as possible. Again, merge all the way in, merge until we get to this point. And now at this point we have merged 10 of those in. That means on this belt we have 566.7. That's not really a problem in terms of speed, and we will then have it merge out here again. We are, yeah, I don't know, I don't think that I'd want to do that. I think I'd actually want to get Mark 1s for these, because I only need 30 inbound for each of them, and therefore we might as well get as much as possible pushed through so this one can also get started. The faster we get these 4 plastic to rubber built, then the faster we can get all the other one building again. And then we have an outbound out here, which I'll punch through our roof. There. Go up, centralized in the middle, which will then consolidate back into the main line. And you can see the other lines, they're backed up because I stopped it so we can have an enjoyable time hooking up the wires as well, or the belts as well. I'll be starting this. So let me show this idea here. I'm gonna go in. Pipes are already set to this. And as soon as I hook it up, it turns the right color. We get oil coming in. Great. The flow on this one is pretty good. We are already consuming something from the other side, but we will have a nice pressure over here because the other ones are not working. We'll follow the pressure along the way here, and we get pressurized in the pipes. That's going to take a long time. A lot of this takes a while to stabilize. You can see this hasn't even gotten started on the first one. Now it's constructing the first one. This isn't getting it. We want to see them all start up, and we want to make sure that everything is working as it should. So now these 5 are working. We can see green lights at the top. Kind of go back to yellow once in a while, and that will be enough to go in here. We've pre-filled the water, so we get the heavy oil residue. Go, go, go. It will just take a bit of time here. It starts working. Let's see if we get some fuel out here. Not much at this moment. We'll get it. We'll get it. And that is probably the first fuel that we get out onto the line. Yes. And it starts flowing down here. Very little fuel. But what we can see is this one is taking the resin. It will consume the resin at exactly the fastest rate that you need it. Yeah, it takes 130 megawatts of power, but at this point, since you already built the diluted power plant, that diluted fuel power plant that we did last time, then you will have absolutely no problems with power, I am sure. Oh, where's the rubber coming out? We want to see the rubber coming out on this belt. Oh, there it is. Yeah, 2 of those, not much. And they will then merge past all of this until it gets into here, and then it starts filling up into this location. We are getting the first bit of plastic. We're going to follow some plastic outbound, coming back, and then see how that spreads. Come on, plastic. There it is. And you can see it thins out the belt here, and these will now start having a bit. One. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. That is not a lot. It'll just take a little bit out, and I think that's because this is a Mark 1 belt, because then as it comes in, it can only sort of get 1 in on either side, and then more of it is passing by. So maybe there was a point for me to keep it at Mark 5 belt. Let's do it that way. Yeah, it looks like it's better at throwing things in there. It absolutely is. There we go. This is working. This is very close to working. Now it's working, and then this will be a self-feeding loop. As more of these 4 are coming online, then more rubber is going to be produced. As more rubber is being produced, then more will be fed into the other line as well. This one you can see is fuel is already supplied for this. Fuel is supplied. And these ones, when it fills all the way up, the return pipe will fill up, and then more will be pushed the other way. Because right now we are splitting it evenly, the fuel right here. And that means I don't get enough fuel down this line, and I get too much fuel this line. I'm going to need to wait until this is fully saturated so that it only consumes what is absolutely necessary. You could also put valves in here to control the flow. I don't think that's necessary. It will self-balance eventually. And when we look at out here, let's go to this location, because this is the location where most of our rubber is coming through. So you can see there's a bit. That was interesting how there was just a little batch of things coming in. There was a nice batch coming in. And that will go in and feed all these. These will again, since it's a manifold build, these will need to go up to 200 before we get all the way down here. And as we go down here, you can see that it starts to struggle with keeping up. 17. Oh, right, it's filling up because I'm not getting enough fuel. So all in all, the answer to all of this is that we just need to wait for a bit to let it sort of saturate, and gradually we'll get more and more that sort of leaks through on this plastic belt. More and more will go through. You can see like it's pathetic amounts right here, but in the end it will balance out to being 450 coming out of this factory building at any given time. And let's go back and take a look up top to see what the flow is like, and then follow it all the way up here. That goes back into a central location. I want to keep this nice and clean here. So they're all consolidating into this location. And you can see one of them is not really doing as much as the other ones, but the other three are idle. The reason why I have idle is because I wanted to show also hooking it up top so I can explain what's going on up there. Whoops. Let's jump on up. I hope you like the design. I am super proud of this design, and it's just one of my absolute best factories. So hope it's of interest. Right, so here is the design up top, what I'm doing, and this only works once all four are fully operational, because I'm not balancing between them. I'm basically saying the first factory goes into the first, and then go here. None in the center, any to the right, and left to overflow. By the way, if you set this up and it doesn't work, for some reason the smart splitters have been broken for years now, and you must click these drop downs, otherwise they don't work. So if you build it and... if you build it like this and go like, yeah, I want any, it doesn't work. It only goes to the center. So you have to do something here in order to, even if you want to just go back. It's annoying. Maybe it'll be fixed eventually. Or maybe it'll just add new features instead of fixing. There. And we now have fully saturated in. I have built one of these for each of them. That's kind of necessary because it comes in at 450, so I can't even consolidate two belts into a single overflow. It comes into one of these overflow storages. The reason why I'm putting this is because when a train comes in and it starts loading, then it shuts off the inputs here. And that would mean that it shuts off if I don't have these buffer stores. Then it will shut down the belt and stop shutting it all down. That means that over time, I can risk, if there are more trains coming in and picking up, then there's going to be a lot of the time when the train is actually disabled, or the train station loading is disabled. So that's why I put the buffer chest here, so that and two input belts here, so that when the train leaves, I can feed it in at a rate of 1560, like two full Mark 4 Mike 5 belts. So that can be filled up pretty damn quickly for the next belt to come in. How much do we actually have in one of these? 9,600. That means divided by 560. That means in 6 seconds. No, in six. What? That's not very much. 6 minutes? Does that really take 6 minutes to fill it up again? Damn, this is annoying. Yeah, we need to fill this up, and that does take apparently 6 minutes. So we can only have a train loading every 6 minutes. Oh no. That's for the full load. The train is actually much smaller. So. The rate of production here is still going to be the constraint, obviously. Once these are filled up, then we can we'll see that things are going here. What you can also see is that these are working at, they're not really, these ones have now reached the 450 stabilization. This one still has like internal buffers that it's emptying, so it's kind of higher than 450. This one obviously hasn't stabilized yet, so no 450 on this. So that is basically the entirety of my build. I hope that you like this little showcase. If you do, be sure to hit the like button and potentially share it. If you want to see more factory game designs and let's plays and showcases and all that stuff, then consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to be part of the design process, then consider coming over to Twitch. It's on twitch.tv/Nilaus, and I'm streaming pretty much every night at 8 p.m. Central European time. And of course, if you really like the channel and want to support the work I do, then I do have a Patreon for the people who want to go that extra mile, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much everyone for watching. Until next time, take care, and as always, stay effective.